Hey guys, is this thing on?
I'm sure I plugged it in. Is that plugged in over there?
Andy, is this thing on?
Checking. 1, 2.
Is this thing on?
Check. I have phantom power. It's sad but true.
No, this song always makes me cry.
Welcome to Chicks with Gear, the podcast where three lifelong friends get together to drink some coffee, play some music, talk about gear, and our quest for the most perfect acoustic sound on stage. I'm Deb.
I'm Julie.
I'm Andy.
Who's not a chick. No, he's not. He's our resident gearhead, the fabulous Andy Most. Andy.
Julie.
Hey, we've got a guest in the house.
Ooh.
Hello?
Hello.
Am I supposed to say something?
It is the fabulous Thomm Jutz.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Singer, songwriter, producer, Grammy nominated,
Yeah, come on.
IBMA winner of Best Song. Is that correct?
Songwriter of the Year.
Wow.
Songwriter of the Year.
That's fabulous.
Wow.
You know, Grammy nominated means Grammy losing.
Yeah, but you're the first loser because all the other people who were not nominated are the
That's
real
true.
losers.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, and I'll
That's-
take it. I'll take it. I'm happy about it.
You
Oh,
should
yeah.
be.
It's fabulous.
Yeah. What was that like?
It was a big surprise because I had no idea that anybody had even entered that record that year. And then I wasn't even thinking about it. And I got a phone call from my friend Peter Cooper who said, "Congratulations on being nominated for a Grammy." And I was like, "You got to be kidding." And he's no. He's like, and I was like, "Well, you mean the first round?" That's how clueless I was at that or didn't pay attention. It was during the pandemic. And he was like, No. It's one of the 5 that are nominated. And so, ironically, it was Peter who called me, who was probably my best friend other than my wife in this world. And he passed away 2.5 years ago.
I saw that.
But anyway, that's how you start on a high note. You lose a Grammy and a dead friend.
Oh, no.
Did he die right after that?
Yeah, but I keep telling people we have more space in the car now, so you gotta, some people find that very tasteless, but I don't.
Well, we are originally from Massachusetts. We tell a lot of tasteless jokes. So.
Never.
I wouldn't say Julie does, but I do.
Deb goes one step too far.
Yeah.
It's like we stay here, and then Deb opens her mouth and tells something.
Peter always told me never apologize for a joke, so I don't.
I don't think you should have to. It's comedy.
That's right.
We
Yes.
need to laugh. We need
Yes.
to laugh, even at the hard times, I think.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So we are so excited to have you here.
Yes.
And we thought it would be nice to start the podcast like we always do with some Magic Mind, if you are willing to join us.
Fantastic.
All right.
I'm looking
It's
forward to this.
it's still great.
It's magical.
Cheers.
Oh, wow. That's different. Good. I like it.
I think it's good.
It's tangy.
It is very. Mine's very tangy because it's got ginger in it. Ooh.
That's good.
Let the flow state begin. So you're from Germany, I read.
I was born in Germany, yes. Born in the Black Forest of Germany, which is the southwest, right on the French border.
Yeah.
Raised by wolves
Oh,
in the
wow.
Black Forest. And when I was 11 years old, I was watching TV, and there was an old German actor had a TV show called Country Time with Freddie Quinn.
Oh, wow.
It was a country music television show, and he brought in 2 acts every show from Nashville. And that day, it was October 1981, I was 11 and a half years old. The great Bobby Bear was one of the guests on the show.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And he just turned 90 last week.
Wow.
And he sang Detroit City, and he sang Pour Me Another Tequila, Sheila, and Lay Down and Love Me Again. And when you're almost 12 years old, that's a pretty powerful lyric.
Yeah,
you
that
know?
is.
So,
Mom,
but,
what's that mean?
all kidding aside, something snapped in my brain when I heard him sing that day. And I was a very musical kid. I played piano and flute and stuff. But I decided that moment that that's the most exciting thing I've ever seen.
Really?
And I started playing guitar that day and never looked back, never did anything else. And
Wow.
became pretty good friends with Bear too.
Really?
Worked with him a couple times, yeah.
Because you don't think country music in Germany.
Well, they do have a little bit of a scene there, and some German country bands that actually play country music and sing German lyrics.
That is
which
so cool.
Yeah,
I
I don't know
love
if
that.
it's that cool.
Speaking of which, so I should know this, but your English is fantastic. So I'm thinking that you grew up learning English. Did you?
Well, the type of school that I went to, you have to start taking English in grade 5.
Oh, wow.
And so that helped. And then when I was 15, I met my wife, and she was 14 at the time, and she had just moved back to Germany from living in the States for 5 years. Oh, wow. And so we got together then, and so that was a big connector that, her English is totally accent-free, and so we shared similar tastes in music and blah, 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 and here we are, 30-some years later, still together. So that
amazing.
helped. But also the thank you. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
concur.
But also that's a lot of applause.
No, they're very excited.
Yes,
Okay.
but also one of the second largest Canadian air base was just around the corner from where we lived, and so I befriended some Canadian soldiers that had rock and roll bands, and my band opened some shows for them, and they took me on the base, and we bought, they bought us Canadian players extra light cigarettes because they were cheaper, and Shanley whiskey. They called me the Shanley Kid for a while. I don't know if that was good or bad, but. So that helped too, but again, this all sounds like one big joke. It sort of wasn't, this was in the early to mid 80s in rural southwestern Germany. Like there was a local record store, but they didn't really have anything that I was that interested in.
Yeah.
So my family made the trip to the next bigger city, which was about an hour and a half away, maybe once or twice a year. And so I bought, records, and often just went by the visual. I didn't know who Doc Watson was, but I saw an album. I saw an album with Doc and Merle on the cover, and I went like, wow, this. Again, it's instinct. It's like the thing with Bear. When you're a kid, you don't ask that many questions. You just go like, that feels good. I think I'll do that.
Yeah.
And so that was my musical education. But then I also studied classical guitar in university. My undergraduate studies were in that, and played rock and roll on the side, and but always dreamed about going to Nashville since the Bear endeavor. And my wife really didn't like living in Germany, and she always wanted to come back, and so we just had to wait till we got a green card and moved here, and then 5 years later became citizens. And this is
fantastic.
25 years ago now.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah. Whoa. Come on. That's
so did you
That's
learn
tremendous.
to speak French as well, being so close to France?
Yeah, I had to take French in school for a couple of years, but I can understand more than I can speak.
Yeah.
Sort of lost the grammar. and
French
all
is
that.
hard. I had to study it in school. I think we studied for 6 years, and I can say parlez-vous français? Oui and no.
And we had a grandmother who spoke fluent French. She was a little Frenchy, but we didn't talk to her much.
No.
She just would come in and speak to our French teacher. And she'd say, her French is terrible. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I told this French story. I was first year of college. I took French, and the first day that she said this would be the last English that's spoken, and then I transferred to Spanish 101. Seriously.
I'm out.
I do wish
I
I could
shouldn't
speak
have, but I
French,
did.
though. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful language.
It is.
And so you've been here since 2008, is that right?
2003.
2003.
October 2003, we moved here, yeah.
Okay.
But we have been going back and forth a lot before, and sort of tried to figure out whether we wanted to move to Austin or whether we wanted to move to Nashville. And it turned out that Nashville was the much better decision. And Austin is a great live music town, but I think if you want to have anything to do with the music business, you can't bypass
Yeah.
Nashville. And I already had established a couple of friendships here, and so it was. It was obviously a cold start for the most part, but I knew a couple of people. I knew David Olney a little bit, and so I started playing with him, and then that led to playing guitar for a songwriter called Mary Gaucher, and then we opened some shows for Nancy Griffith, and that led to me playing with Nancy for 5 years, and then after that I sort of ventured out on my own. That was great.
What years were you with Nancy?
I'm terrible with remembering years. I would say it was probably between 2008 and 2013, 14, something like that.
Did you play with Chaz Williams? You played with her for a while.
No, that was before my time.
Okay.
It was
McInerney.
McInerney was the drummer. Yep.
Pat.
Leanne Etheridge was the bass player for the first while, and then it was a guy called J.T. Brown who had played with Mary J. Carpenter's. Awesome bass player. James Hooker was still the keyboard player, but we only did one tour, and then he retired. And actually, I loved Hooker's playing, but it was also cool to play with Nancy as a 4-piece because it just made it rootsier, and she was fantastic. She was one of the best performers I ever played with.
Really?
Totally magnetic on stage.
Wow.
Didn't move an inch. Just, sometimes she moved her knee a little bit, but it was totally magnetic, and people just reacted so strongly to her. And she had a really strong following in Ireland. So we toured Ireland at least once a year, and it was great. It was a good time.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so I read somewhere that you started something called TJ Music, is that right? And kind of a community group, or what was that?
Well, my studio is called TJ Tunes.
Tunes.
And it's evolved over the years into sort of like your house. It's taken over a little bit. And we added on to our house, so there's a better drum room now and all of that. But it's not it's my studio. It's where I write. We live kind of in the country, so a lot of people that I write with like to come out there because it's quiet and no distractions.
That's nice.
And again, Peter Cooper factors into that. When Peter and I were both huge fans of Cowboy Jack Clement, and Peter was actually good friends with Cowboy. But when Cowboy passed away, Peter and I sort of made a soft promise that we would always keep the door open to record and produce people who we thought really deserved a shot, but maybe didn't have the money to do it.
Oh, wow.
So because Cowboy did that, if he liked something, he was just like, well, here's the studio. Come on up here and
really?
record
I
something,
that.
And so that's still, kind of the ethos to some degree. But of course, not a place that I just give away for free, But, but I do.
You're going to get a lot of phone calls.
Right.
No, but that was sort of the vibe I got from it. That it was sort of like this thing that you were doing to help others and kind of pay it
I
forward.
love that.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. And it's also, my publishing company is called Thomm Songs, so it sort of goes together with that.
Yeah.
And it's just all,
Cool.
little cottage industry.
Yeah, I think that's great.
And I noticed you write a lot of songs. You've
I do.
written a lot of songs. So I also noticed that it's not just bluegrass, you have a wide variety of inspiration in your music. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, I do write a lot. I thought about this let's get back to your question before I go off on an esoteric trip. I think it's, I do write a lot, and I think it's important to write a lot to get good at it and to stay good at it. It's like working out. You have to do it. You have to exercise that muscle. And I don't write with a whole lot of different people, but probably a group of between 10 and 15 people on a regular basis. And, the bluegrass thing is something that I got that bluegrass stamp because of the Songwriter of the Year and because I did get a lot of cuts in bluegrass, but I do a lot of other things too. Yeah. I still love bluegrass and write a lot in that world, but I do a lot of other things too. What I do a whole lot of is writing for TV and movie. And so I have 2 days a week set aside, Wednesday and Sunday, where a friend of mine work together focusing strictly on that. And a lot of that is instrumental stuff, but not everything is instrumental stuff. And that's a wide variety of stuff, from real ambient stuff to early jazz to classic country to super pop kind of stuff. So, that keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
And it's fun to do. And it's also, honestly, in an industry that's been changing as much as the music business as we know it, a sync, meaning writing for TV and movie, is one of the biggest income streams. If you just think about all the proprietary TV dramas for all the streaming services, everything you see in television has music and gives it meaning. If you just see a woman walking down the steps without music, you don't know, is she going to get killed? Is she going to go shopping? Or is she going to make a cup of coffee? But if you have the music, you know what you're supposed to feel.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's also, it's writing for TV is a skill that you have to, it's a different skill set a little bit. And I really love it. And the guy that I do a lot of that with is a young guy called Finn Goodwin Bain, who's become a really good friend. He's 23 years old, and he's one of the most talented guys I've ever met as a writer, as a piano player, a singer. And so his skill set in terms of writing, producing pop music is way above mine. So it's great because I can learn from him, and he can learn from me when it comes to the acoustic stuff and the rootsier side of things. So, but I love writing. And here's the esoteric part that I thought about or keep thinking about. When you get a chance in life to do something as weird as me, to move from the Black Forest to Nashville and land in the middle and play with some of those people that we talked about and write with people who are that massively talented. It's a responsibility, to keep that going. You can't take that for granted. I firmly believe that this is my job in life. It's my vocation, and if you think about that term, that means it's a calling. It's something that you have to answer. And so I try to just, do my job and be grateful that I have a job. And that's it.
That's tremendous.
So how did you get into the sync? Is that just something you decided you wanted to, or how did that happen?
So a little over 10 years ago, a co-writer of mine said, hey, this guy in New York City who was the editor of Billboard at the time was his friend. And he said, there's a guy from England coming to Nashville who's got this production music service, and he's looking for authentic country music. I hate the word authentic, but sometimes we have to use it because there's not a lot of other words that we can use instead. So anyway, and he wanted to bring him over to my studio, and I was kind of ready to blow it off, but then went like, well, what have I got to lose? It's middle of the week at 9 o'clock. And so this guy came, and he explained the business model to me and what they were looking for, and I played him some demos, and he was like, well, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And I think he didn't actually know what he was looking for. He was just looking for something where he could say, well, this is from Nashville and it's good. And so he was like, okay, how about pick 60 songs that you'll let us have? And I was like, okay, sure. And then the trouble starts, because for one thing that's different in sync, if you write something for sync, you have to make a full version, you have to make an instrumental version, you have to make an underscore, you have to make a 60-second version, a 30-second version, and stings, which are short musical snippets. So doing that for 60 songs, remixing everything, re-recording some of the vocals took me the better part of a year and a half.
Oh my gosh.
But once that stuff gets used, it's a slow start in terms of the royalty flow. But once it starts flowing, it's pretty steady. And these businesses operate these library services. Make it very easy for people to license music. So it's not there's no negotiating. It's a tiered system where you can license the music, and it's non-exclusive, meaning the same piece of music can be used in 80 different countries at the same time.
Oh wow.
And so that's where it becomes an interesting income stream, because you can have stuff be used all over the world in markets that you would never have access to.
Right.
And you certainly wouldn't have access to the sub-publishers to collect royalties, which those guys do. So that's how that started. And then I worked for those guys for about 10 years, and then some other people that I knew started a smaller, more creatively satisfying company, and I went with them, and still, like I said, 2 days a week is set aside for that.
That's really interesting.
I know. Because you think about how many shows and all the platforms, the movies, the TV. I mean, it's incredible how much you can get out there and watch, and it all needs music. So. And
it's a lot of fun. It keeps the country stuff and the bluegrassy stuff and the Americana stuff interesting for me, because one week we might work on something for a Scottish cop show, and figure out what's the intersection between Scottish music, Americana music, bluegrassy stuff, and make that sound ambient. And then the next week we might work on something for Clarkson's Farm or work, I don't know. So
are you doing syncing to video, or just you're sending them audio? They say they want this.
They say what they want, and we do it. So it's not scoring in the sense that you see something and write to that.
Right.
That would be great to have that opportunity at some point to do something like that. But that hasn't come my way yet. But Not means not yet.
That's
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you also have some music out, and I think you were mentioning you had some new music coming out.
Well, I have a bunch of records out. Last year in October, a duo record that I made with my friend Tim Stafford it came out. It's called Wall Dogs, and it's 6 songs are with sort of a bluegrass band, and 6 songs are just the two of us playing
Great
guitar and
guitar
singing.
player.
Oh, amazing
I
guitar player.
absolutely, I haven't heard a whole lot of you. I'm sure you are fantastic, but I've seen him around for years and amazing.
Tim is an amazing player,
Yeah.
has amazing instruments, great singer, wonderful songwriter, lives in East Tennessee, comes from East Tennessee, and I love that part of the world.
Yeah.
Love Appalachia, southwestern Appalachia. And so working with Tim, I've been a big fan of his for many years, was quite a wonderful experience. I have a record out with a guy called Martin Simpson, since you're into
wow.
acoustic guitar
Yeah.
playing, English guitar player. That's actually kind of an interesting story.
It's amazing, man.
I was introduced to him through his label, and we both have this fascination with the song collection by a guy called Cecil Sharp, who collected folk songs in Appalachia in 1916 and 1918. He was an English guy, and he knew that there were folk songs that people in England didn't remember anymore, but people in Appalachia had kept them alive because they'd been isolated there for such a long time, or relatively isolated.
Yeah.
And so he came to Appalachia in 1916 and 1918 and collected songs from farmers. And so Martin and I made a record based on this collection, and we made half of it in Nashville with Appalachian singers and half of it in England with English folk singers, and that was quite a trip. And I hope we'll make another one. And right now, I'm sorry, Andy.
No, I said, wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why this stuff happens. I just go where my gut leads me. Like
Yeah.
if I find something interesting, I just take the liberty and have the arrogance to go like, well,
Why not?
who else is going to do it if
That's
I'm not
right.
going to do
Right.
it?
Yeah.
And it's certainly not something that's going to make you, super rich. But I didn't set out when I was 11 and a half years old with the desire to become super rich. I wanted to play music, and
Right.
so you can't complain about that if that's what you wanted, and it's an interesting life. And Norman Blake never thought that he was going to have a second career and be able to retire because of "Oh Brother Where Art Thou." But
I know.
when they were looking for a guy like Norman Blake, there was only one guy, and that was Norman
Yeah.
Blake. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try to be that guy.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not you?
Next time they need somebody like that, come
That
to me.
is, yes. Well, I was listening to a lot of your music. I met you briefly, maybe I think it was before the pandemic. You were doing some music with Tammy Rogers, who's a friend of
Yeah.
ours.
Yeah.
And it was at the Bluebird, and Jules Wortman's a friend of ours.
Oh, okay.
And so she had brought me and introduced you briefly, and then met you again at Tammy's birthday party.
Yes.
And so I started listening to your music because I hadn't listened to a lot of it. And I just was really impressed with just the overall vibe, the production of the music, the lyrics, and just it was vast in terms of things you address in the music. But one of my favorite ones was Nobody Knows. Did I get the title right?
Oh, yes. The one that I wrote with Julie Lee.
Yes.
Okay.
I love that song.
Thank you.
What made you write that song?
I can't remember.
Oh.
I can't remember. I hadn't. I was a big fan of Julie Lee's. Again, Peter Cooper factors in here. He introduced me to her, and I asked her if she might be interested in writing, and we wrote 2 songs. And No One Knows was one of those. It's a gospel song, but it's sort of a left-footed gospel song.
Yeah.
Which is the type of gospel song that I want to write, because I have more questions than answers, and I want that to be reflected in the music. But she's also an incredible singer. It was great to write that song with her, and she's just a really interesting mind and an interesting person, and so I hadn't forgotten about that song, but I do write a lot of songs.
I was just going to say you have
Sometimes it gets away from me.
You're kind of busy.
I don't
No
know.
sleeping at your
No,
house.
I'm often accused by certain people of being a workaholic, and I'm really not. I mean, I never work after 6 o'clock in the evening,
Yeah.
and I just start early and stay at it. I feel if I take too much time off, it takes me a long time to get back into it.
Yes.
It's like taking a break from running. The first run back after a week is painful. If you
Yes.
stay at it and just go
You just
4
get
miles
better,
a day,
yeah.
it's just easier. So
It is easier. So what's on the horizon?
well, I've been working. I've been working on a solo record. I didn't intend to start working on the solo record this year, but things just sort of fell into place, and I had some stuff set up, and some people came over, and I was just like, well, let's see how this works. And it's a different approach this time. I want everything to be recorded live, at least the core of everything to be recorded live, with me playing and singing at the same time. So there cannot be any major editing later. No tuning, no moving stuff around. Everybody plays in the moment. We don't belabor it. We go like, here's a chart. This is how it goes. Let's play it. Play it 3 times max and move on. Not even necessarily listening back. Just going like, this one felt good. Let's move on. And then maybe just 1 overdub or
Yep.
2 max, but just I want to experiment with how stripped down this stuff can be and still feel good. And a lot of it is just going to be me singing and playing at the same time. And it's a lot of my stuff has had dealt with history of people that are kind of forgotten. And this record doesn't deal with that. It deals with, I've been fascinated not just the last couple of years, but I've been fairly intensely studying the writing of Carl Gustav Jung, the Swiss founder of analytical psychology, and been also really interested in the English poet and painter William Blake, who lived in the 1781 till 18 something. And so these songs are heavily influenced by those ideas, at least to me. But I don't want to talk too much about it because I want people to have their own ideas about what it is. But it's more about the internal, processes of man. Mm-hmm. Weird, right?
No, it's not weird.
No.
I think as humans, we do our thing every day and we see what looks normal. But then when you have time, when you sit by yourself and you start asking questions, there's stuff we don't know. And if you just kind of start going down that rabbit hole, it becomes, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. Sometimes I have to stop thinking because I don't have the answers. But then what's weird about it is, maybe a month later, something gets triggered by those thoughts that I had. And I feel like it's all related.
Totally. And it works exactly that way with dreams, too. Once you start writing down your dreams, for instance,
Yes.
a couple of weeks after having a dream, you might be running down the road and go like, oh my God, that's that detail I was missing, or that's that thing that I'm remembering. And Jung was huge into dream analysis and things like that. So that's the stuff that a lot of this is about. But I thought we were talking about gear. And here we are talking about Carl Jung.
Let's do it.
And we can talk about Jung all day long.
All right, well,
Let's talk gear.
Let's talk gear.
Okay.
All right. Get to the studio in a second. So you're sitting around your house. You got one guitar to pick up to play or write or just play.
Right.
What do you pick? What are you playing?
About half a year ago, I got a new guitar made by a guy in Virginia called Rufus Thames. I was introduced to him by Tim Stafford, and Rufus is an amazing luthier, and we had talked about him making me a guitar, a Dreadnought, 18 style, but with sloped shoulders and slotted headstock. So the way some of them were before they were mass produced starting in 1934. So this one is based on a 1933 Martin D18 12-fret slotted headstock.
Yeah.
And it took about a year and a half to get it, but it's a remarkable instrument. And Rufus is an unbelievable guy, and that's the one that I pick up the most at the moment. But there's a good number of guitars at my house, and it's they're all different. I'm not a collector.
Yeah.
I'm not rich enough to collect, but I have enough guitars. They all do a different job. They all have a different voice.
Yeah, sure.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Yes.
What you guys?
Do you play out live with that guitar?
I do, but it doesn't have a pickup in it.
That was the next
and
question.
I don't. There are certain clubs. Last week I played 2 shows where I just put a microphone in front of that guitar, and it was unbelievable. It was so much fun. I'm not the biggest fan of plugging in, but sometimes you have to, and there's ways to make it work. But that is probably, any acoustic guitar player will tell you that that's a lifelong quest to find acceptable.
It's the reason for our show.
So let's say you got to plug in. Where do you?
I love the Tone Dexter.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Chaz likes the Tone Dexter.
I think that's a really cool tool. One thing I have not figured out about the Tone Dexter though is, like, you could go, let's say we go to Brown's Diner right now and I'd plug into the cheapest PA system in the world.
Right.
It would probably sound unbelievably good. And sometimes you're at a very good club with digital console, blah, 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 and you plug in and it sounds like shit. And I have not figured out why that is.
I know.
Yeah, what is that? So frustrating.
I don't know. There's new firmware updates. There are new versions of the Tone Dexter. Maybe those things have been improved, but it has been a life changer for me, because if I can go through the Tone Dexter and supplement with a microphone, then 90% of the time I'll get something that I'm really happy with.
Final geek question on this one. So what pickup is in the guitar that you are running through a Tone Dexter?
The one that I'm using mainly right now has a K&K passive mini. I got one in a box in my house that I just bought, but I'm chicken to glue it in. But the reason why I like that is because it's the least invasive pickup, because you don't have to drill.
Exactly.
And it's a lot of people who I highly respect use that. But it's not only a matter of what does it sound like, it's also a matter of what does it feel like when you plug in on an acoustic guitar. I always feel that certain pickups, it's not a delay, but it's almost like that. It just doesn't feel, the response is different from the way an acoustic guitar feels.
Understood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm also, I'm sort of a purist, like I like the idea of not plugging in. I like the idea of, my friend Eric Brace and I play a lot of shows together, and we play a lot of house concerts. And some of my favorite places to play is a place like this room we're in with 30 people, no PA.
Yes.
And people are, I find, we've been doing this for a long time, but I think people are more and more looking for these experiences, because you can see the biggest production. You can watch the biggest production on your phone 24/7, and nobody's really impressed with light shows or anything anymore, unless it's the new big deal in Vegas.
And I think you have to be in person for that. I think on the phone it loses something in, because you're not there experiencing that thing. But we have said this all the time, like, we love the way our stuff sounds just in the living room.
Yes.
And then you go on stage and it's like, what is that? And so we've been trying lots of things for lots of years, right?
What you've been trying.
Yeah, we've been trying. And we've bought a lot of stuff.
It still sounds like crap.
It's kind of like the graveyard back there.
Yeah.
So,
I see a lot of crap.
A lot of crap. There's a lot of crap there.
Yeah.
Some of it's good, but same thing. I play mandolin, which can have its own challenges with 8 strings, and just the tonality of it can be amazingly beautiful acoustically, but then plugged in can sound like a horror show.
Add a drummer, and that's a whole different thing. So.
Oh yeah, you're in trouble now.
Yes. So Julie, Andy, and I, we do a lot, just the 3 of us, acoustic, but we do play with a band at times too. Right. And it just is, it's such a change when you start adding other pieces, and then you kind of lose that real acoustic, well, just the vibrations of the acoustic instruments in a room like this is different than on stage. And people feel that. I think they feel all that vibration. And then the voices, you're close by, you hear the vibrations of people's voices and the emotions. You can see it on their face. You can feel it coming through the music. And there is something special about small, intimate rooms that I feel like as a listener and a performer, I really treasure those moments when you just really connect.
I agree. And, you know, on the other side of the spectrum, I think it's remarkable that somebody like Billy Strings can play with an acoustic five-piece bluegrass band in front of 30,000 people and give people that feeling. Of course, it sounds different than it sounds in a room, but that band is so good and so tight that they figured out a way to
amplify
maneuver
that.
That works, you know, and that people still relate to at that level. It's very, very. I mean, it's amazing to see. Who would have thought 5 years ago that this guy's going to sell out Bridgestone 2 nights in a row, and he's a super, super good person and just a hell of a guitar player. Just can't say enough good things about him.
Yeah, he's a wonderment. You know, he just is everything you see, the music he does, just his personality. When something's maybe going astray with his business part, he just gets on social media. He's like, hey guys, I didn't know this was happening. I mean, you don't see a lot of artists do things like that. He's just got a very big heart and obviously loves what he does. And he's changed bluegrass music in a way that so many people that may have never known about bluegrass music are getting to experience it. And I just think that's so cool.
I do too.
I concur. Yes. Wait.
Gear part 2. Hey.
Gear part 2.
I got you crickets.
So you got a studio. Let's say, what would be your go-to mic for recording your guitar? Although that can change with what you're going for, of course.
Well, I have a Browner Phantom C microphone, serial number 40. That's about probably 27, 28 years old. And maybe it's just because I've had it for so long that I love the sound of that and I know what to do with it. And so that would be that's still the microphone that I get out the most. But that being said, I've recently started using some microphones by a company called Jay-Z, like the rapper. But they're made in Latvia and they're unbelievably good microphones. They make stuff that's based on the characteristics of classic microphones like 67, 47, C12, but they look completely different. And then they have their own designs too, not just visually, but also sonically. And I totally love those microphones.
Excellent. For your vocal also, the Browner?
For the vocal or that C12, or you can't beat, in certain applications, Shure SM7, but just because on this new record I'm singing and playing a lot at the same time. So the SM7 is great on vocals. I'm also a big fan of good ribbon mics. So I have an AAA44 that I think is a remarkable microphone. It's just, ribbon mics are pretty finicky, so you have to be very, very careful with. But ribbons are probably my favorite microphones on anything because they bring so much of their own tonality and character to the work.
Yeah.
So especially if you want your stuff to sound kind of old but yet modern, if that makes sense. Like they sound vintage, but they don't sound crappy.
Right. Well, crackly. Yeah. No, I like that. And a warmth, too, that I love about those kind of microphones, too. Andy, what's the microphone you record when we sing? I love that microphone so much.
It's the 4033, but it sounds good in that one.
Oh, yeah.
We like it.
We like it. Yes, we do.
The Vintech Pre.
We have some ear trumpet lab.
Oh, yeah.
Microphones.
That's good stuff.
Yep. And,
just got those.
Got those not too long ago because we were trying to. We had the sound pretty good in Studio A, but then we'd go to Studio B and play music, and it sounded like crap. And so we were trying some different things, and so the ear trumpet labs have worked out great.
Yeah, they look good.
They do look good on camera. So.
We're hoping we get to hear you do a rendering.
Sure, but I have to. I wasn't prepared for that, so I didn't bring a guitar. I'll have to borrow a guitar.
We happen to
got
have
couple.
a few.
Good. Good.
You can choose.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that the looks is probably what sold them on these microphones first. So
Well, we did research on them.
They were magical.
And lots of bluegrassers seem to really like them. And we also liked how they looked for sure.
Okay.
We did. But,
are you a Pro Tools person? What's the
I work in Logic because I started in Logic and I've just
excellent?
too lazy to switch
learn
over.
something new. I know that feeling.
I've tried, but I'm the opposite way.
Yeah, well,
I know. We started with Pro Tools.
Yeah, I've tried Logic a million times. I just can't. Nuendo, Cubase, just anyway.
I just feel like once you've learned
That's all I'm
something
saying, yeah.
that's complicated in itself, it's like, I just want to stick with that.
Yeah.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
I'd rather stay with that than, interrupt the creative flow.
Yes, because
Absolutely.
it's time consuming.
Yeah.
And then you're having to relearn everything like, yeah. And you'll learn it, but like you said, there's short time left on this planet. So I don't know.
And it's as you guys know, these home studio things it's a bottomless pit. You're never done. It can always be better. There's always more gear. The room can sound better. It's like at some point you just got to stop. And I also realize now that the more stuff you have, the more you have to maintain stuff. And then it's like, oh my, okay, I got to get this guitar here. I got to pick this one up here, and this microphone needs to be serviced. And that's all not stuff that I really want to spend that much time on.
Yeah, or that much money. I remember our
Yeah.
dad told us many years ago when we were thinking about, buying our first houses. He's like, just remember, you buy that big house, when you have to replace that roof. That's a big roof. Get a smaller house. It's a smaller price tag. And then, it's so funny now, this is many years later. And, this house I've lived here, this is the first house I've lived anywhere more than 4 years. So that's coming up on 10 years. And I'm having to replace things. And I keep thinking, well, thank God I didn't buy the big house.
He's so smart.
He's so smart. He was so smart. But yeah, it's the same thing with gear too. Like, that something becomes outdated, or you can't use it anymore because the company's not there, or whatever update. So it is an investment of time and money.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the most fun thing to spend money on is musical gear.
Yeah, or
instruments.
sitting at a good bar. I feel that's always a good investment.
You meet people.
Yeah.
You get to talk to people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I say we hear some music.
I do
do
too.
it.
All right. Are we ready?
Yes.
Shazam!
Well, this is a song that I wrote with Adam Wright. It's about one of our musical heroes, a guy called Mississippi John Hurt, who was a blues musician who recorded in the 1920s, and then he stopped recording, and very few people remembered him. But then in the 60s, during the folk revival, he was rediscovered and played some of the big folk festivals in the 60s. And about a year and a half ago, I saw one morning that his old house in Mississippi, where he lived, a little shack, had burnt down to the ground. It had been turned into a museum, and it burnt. And the night before it happened, it had gotten a marker as a national landmark, and it's pretty obviously was something that somebody didn't like, and they set that house on fire, or at least that's what everybody thinks, but nobody says. So this is a song about John Hurt and John Hurt's house, and it's a tribute to the great Mississippi John Hurt. I woke up this morning, heard it on the news, 200-year-old cabin of the man with the Avalon blues. They called an electrician. They don't suspect foul play. I guess ashes turn to ashes and dust to delta clay. He was not like Son and Johnson, had something no one had.
Not lightning in a bottle, but coffee in a can. And fires in Mississippi seem harder to put out. You can travel through the Delta now and stop at John Hurt's house. A gentleman dirt farmer who loved to sing a song, and just for half a minute the whole world sang along. And when the roaring 60s got heavy for a while, he showed up with a pork pie hat, a six string and a smile. He was not like Son and Johnson. He had something no one had. Not lightning in a bottle, but coffee in a can. And fires in Mississippi seem a little harder to put out. You can travel through the Delta now and stop at John Hurt's house. You can't stop at John Hurt's house.
Shazam!
Well, we're back.
We're back. Thank you so much for sharing. That was beautiful.
Thank you for
Yes.
having me. Fun.
Wonderful guitar player, singer, songwriter. Amazing. You are a really amazing person.
Thank you very much.
We're so grateful you came and shared your story with us. And we're going to do a little yerba's toast.
Yeah, just a little Euros toast.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what I would do if I was driving around with a guy who I thought this is not who I thought it was. Man, how I would handle it.
I think I'm too polite. I would have been like, do you want to go to lunch now?
No,
Okay.
I will tell you that happened to me dating wise. I had met two people, just like friendly, and I thought this one person had called me and asked me for a date, and he showed up and I didn't know his name. It was not the same guy I thought.
Does not look like George.
We
Clooney.
we played a round of golf and had lunch, and everybody was like, "Did you get his name?" I said, "No, I was too embarrassed."
Hey, man. How
Very
you doing,
nice.
sir? All right. Well, let's do it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes.
Cheers. Thanks
Cheers.
for having me.
Cheers.
Andy.
Yerbas.
Yerba, even though it's not yerba mate, I still think it is.
Yeah, Debbie thought it was Australian,
Yeah, yerba mate.
and Tammy King very politely said it's mate.
Mate Deb.
Deb, I believe it's mate. She's the
like
sweetest. I know, mate.
Your roommate?
Yerba mate.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Of course.
This
yeah.
has been
Thank you for
so
having
fun.
me.
Yeah, we really loved it, and we look forward to your new music that you have coming out.
Yeah, thank
And hopefully, we'll see you out there sometime.
you. Let's do it.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm sad to say.
Don't do it.
Oh, it went by so fast, but that's all we have for today. But we thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.
And if you have any questions for us, please comment below and feel free to send some comments for our new segment called Etiquette for Musicians.
Or she don't know.
Or she don't know.
And until next time, don't you worry about it.
Insert music.
Insert music. That is correct.